I think the most important thing that motivates me, especially with engineering management, because I'm not like doing code, these days. I think deciphering people's thinking and the way people behave, I think that's the most exciting part for me right now. At a very early stage, in terms of advertising, we are, a bit behind than our competitors like Twitter and Snap. We have a long way to go. I think first of all, I take a look like for which level I'm hiring. So if it is like a senior, like mid-level to senior engineer, I definitely not only want them to get things done, but also possess some initiative and leadership skills. People skills are really, really important. I try not to hire people who are very good engineers, but they're not very good at talking to people. They're not very easy to work with.
Hi all, good morning. So today I have Qasim with us, who is a global engineering leader from Pakistan who has conquered many hard hurdles thrown his way. Currently, he is working at Reddit, where he is responsible for designing infrastructure that can help different teams target, acquire users in the most optimized possible way. He's always passionate about solving complex coding problems, which is where he feels that he's most challenged and which is where he can come up with the best possible solutions. Let's welcome Qasim on 10 Minutes of Hiring Wisdom. Hi, Qasim, how are you doing?
Hey, good. Thanks for inviting me. This is the first time I'm talking on this type of channel, so please bear with me.
I'm pretty sure you're going to be doing great, and I'll try my best to make sure that the conversation can go as smoothly as possible. So, Kasim, first question: you had worked for a company in China called Bixia as a lead software engineer. How was your working experience like?
Yeah, in Bisha, I was working as an engineering lead. They found me from they were solving a problem that I had already solved as a freelance engineer. They were trying to compare different products, and they wanted to build like a full product around it, where people can compare different things, like two pieces of clothes, two cars, two planes, and then they can make the best decision. And I was posting a lot about that work, and then they found me online, and they said that, like, hey, we are trying to solve the same problem. They were American Chinese people who just invited me to work there. So I moved to China in 2014, I believe. I worked there for almost 3 years, and the experience was pretty awesome. In the start, it a huge culture shock. If you have never been to China, please, I would highly recommend you visit there. There's no place like that. They have different internet. They have a different culture, like total different culture. People don't open up very easily. You cannot like expect them to smile when you look at them. It's just like a different culture, and it took me some time to blend in. But once I blended in, I think it became probably one of the best parts of my life.
Wow. Okay. No, definitely. That sounds amazing. I think one other thing that I would want you to touch upon is there's been a great emphasis on work life balance, Kasim. So you've worked with China, where I've heard that people are constantly working to the point where they can be essential burnout. But you would know better. So would love to understand, how was your experience like? You worked with the you're working with Reddit now, a US company. You worked with China. You worked in China as well. How can you compare both of the work life balances, and what was your biggest takeaway?
At least at that time, I didn't hear about the word work life balance. It's a term I started to hear when I moved to the US. Even when I was working in Pakistan, there was no term like work life balance. It was I was working in a company. If you have watched the movie The Office Space, you will. It was exactly like that. Bosses shouting at you, and then penalizing you for missing the deadlines and all this stuff. Um, in China, we were working 6 days a week. Absolutely 6 days. Saturdays were not off. Sundays were off, but because I was alone there, I didn't have my family there, so I usually used to get a chance to like walk around the area. So that was a good part of the things. But yeah, as you said, there was nothing like work life balance there. You know,
Okay,
yeah,
thank you
it
for
may be there
sharing
now.
that.
Yeah, I think now because like more and more Chinese Americans are moving back to China and they're becoming the CEOs and CTOs, so they take those values to companies like Badu or QQ, who are the biggest names there. They are introducing this type of stuff in the bigger companies where they have like 2 days holidays in a week. And but like in a startup environment or like for a regular Chinese, I don't think work life balance is for them. I think like work is the work life balance.
That's an interesting way to look at it, but thank you for sharing that. And I think, yeah, with globalization,
Yeah,
values are being transferred automatically.
yeah,
So a lot of people are learning, people are understanding how it's important to have that right balance.
yeah.
So hopefully, as in like things do get better, because at the end of the day, I mean, working on yourself, feeling at peace is something that's super important. So thank you for sharing that, Qasim. So Qasim, you're from Pakistan. I'm from Pakistan as well. I come from Islamabad. So I would love to understand, how was the transition like for you when you moved to the US? What were some of the cultural shocks that you faced as a Pakistani in the US?
I had a transition period between coming from Pakistan and the US. As I mentioned, I was working as a software engineer in Lahore, and then I worked as a freelancer for a few years. Then I moved to China. Then I worked in Thailand for a couple of years.
Oh
So
wow.
there was like this transition period before I come to the US. In the US, actually, I think the I didn't face like much culture shock. You can find almost anything, any type of food. You can meet brown people like me. You can talk, very easy to talk to, and the company itself is like pretty friendly. I think one thing is that really shocked me here was the way healthcare and driving and driving license and insurance works. Like it's in the root of this culture, and that was a very shocking thing for me to see. Like it's that important to get like health insurance. I remember one day I took a procedure for which I didn't get approval from insurance, and I got like a $20,000 bill. I was like, I have not like even earned that much money yet. How much I'll pay the bill. But thankfully, I think Yelp's insurance was pretty good, so they paid the part. So that part was the most shocking to me. I mean, you cannot just like walk into any doctor's office and get the things done.
That's true. I think when we think about the US, like in Pakistan, it's like considered the land of opportunity where everything seems better. But when you come here, you see the healthcare, you're like, oh, okay, now what do I do? Because you have to go through different routes to make
Yeah.
sure that your insurance is co approved. Then and only then can you actually, your company can actually essentially pay for it. So I'm glad you all took care of it and you don't have to deal with a $20,000 bill. That must have been hard. So, Qasim, my next question for you would be: is what are you most currently passionate about in your role? Like, what are some of the projects that you're currently working on that excites you every day?
Yeah, I think as I mentioned on LinkedIn as well, I worked on advertiser growth, and that's the only part that motivates me. Reddit is like at a very early stage in terms of advertising. We are a bit behind than our competitors like Twitter and Snap, and we have a long way to go. So it's a great thing that I don't have to like think a lot when it comes to business growth. We try to replicate what our competitors have done, so our job is like slightly easier, right now. Um, I think the most important thing that motivates me, especially with engineering management, because I'm not like doing code, these days. I think deciphering people's thinking and the way people behave, I think that's the most exciting part for me right now. Uh, really getting the right answers from people, who is getting frustrated and why, solving like people problem. I think that itself is a skill set, and I didn't realize when I was not a manager, but that really excites me, about my job.
No, that shows your progression as a leader. Just because you're looking into people's needs, you're understanding what people are requiring, putting
Yeah,
yourself in the consumer's like shoes is something that's super important, especially when it comes to solving complex problems. Because at the end of the day, it's the users, it's the consumers that you're going to be producing a solution for. And if you're not taking their perspective into account, your solution is most likely not to be as successful as companies who are considering their consumers' viewpoints. So that's definitely very useful. So Kasim, your Reddit recently just gained Series F funding of $410 million. So congratulations on that, which means the company is hiring and growing. I would love to understand whether you're hiring for some certain roles, if you have any openings within your team, and what are some of the characteristics you look for when you're looking for people for your team.
uh, yeah. I think you asked like two to three questions in the same question. So the first thing is, yes, Reddit is still hiring. We are not slowing down growth. So please go to the careers website, and please apply on the job. I know if you have some Pakistani audience, I would love to pitch to them as well. We have our offices both in Europe and as well as here in the US. So if and we are a remote first company, so even if you want to work as a remote engineer, please apply. And we are hiring across the board. We are hiring full stack engineers who know React and stuff. We hire the backend engineers who know Python, Scala, Java, or Go. Uh, we are hiring senior engineers. We are hiring junior engineers. So please go to the careers website. Please apply yourself. And let me know how I can be helpful. Um, and I think the third part of your question was what I look for when I see an engineer.
Yep.
I think the foremost characteristic for I think first of all I take a look like for which level I'm hiring. So if it is like a senior, like mid-level to senior engineer, I definitely not only want them to get things done, but also possess some initiative and leadership skills. So whether they have worked with something like project management, whether they can make other people work, whether they're like the right set of people. For me, people skills are really, really important. I try not to hire people who are very good engineers, but they're not very good at talking to people. They're not very easy to work with. For me, I think that dimension is more important than collaboration is more important than getting things done. So they like a mid-level to senior engineer should definitely have this ability in addition to getting things done. They should definitely be good coders. So our interview process is pretty much the same as Google, Facebook, and other companies. System design, lead code, and all this stuff. We don't do anything special. Um, and I think when it goes to staff level and above engineers, I really want those folks to look into the business problems and think about things like how to make the developer productivity faster, how I can enable my team to work faster or collaborate with each other. They should be more than just like ideas. They should be not only like thinking about ideas, but they should also be executing those ideas. Like what stops the engineers right now from working faster, or what are some of the issues that our customers are facing, and what are some of the low hanging fruits and high priority work. So really help me prioritize the work engineering wise. So that's what I look for, like staff and above.
No, no, I think I liked how you broke it down based on the positions you're hiring for the levels you're considering. Because at staff level, you need to have a leader who can break down different bigger problems into smaller components for the younger staff to work on. And like at the younger level, it's those people that come together, that collaborate together. So if they lack on certain communication skills, they're more likely to do a poor job because at the end of the day, you want people who can work together and fit in like a jigsaw. So thank you so much for sharing that, Kasim. But other than that, Kasim, thank you so much for coming on the show, for sharing about your wonderful experiences as a global leader, working across different countries such as China, such as Thailand, now the US. You even worked in Pakistan, Lahore. Lahore has the best street food, just by the way. Um, but thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm pretty sure your wife would be very appreciative of the shout out that you gave her. But I'm pretty sure she must be really proud of how far you've come along as well. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, for sure. And sorry for canceling earlier. We finally met. Just let me know how else I can be helpful for your audience.
Of course.